We're so grateful to have 4 of the 5 Lahaina Advisory Committee members here with us today. And, you know, each of these members heard the kahea from the mayor and really stepped up to the plate to serve their community in what is one of the most difficult times this island and this Mokupuni and this community of Lahaina is facing. And on the backdrop of themselves losing so much in the fires as well. So I wanted to just start off today by showing our mahalo for them, because they're giving of their time and energy. They've been put in a very difficult situation to really be the voice of the voiceless in the community. And we don't get an opportunity to really show them how grateful all of us in Hawaii are for their time and energy. So join me in Pa'ipa'i Lima in welcoming the committee members. So when we think about kahea, all of us know that, you know, sometimes kuleana is chosen for us, and sometimes we get to select our kuleana. But this is really a kuleana, and when I think about kuleana, I think about not only responsibility, but also the other definitions of obligation and privilege. So I wanted to ask each of you to introduce yourself and your pilina, your relationship to Lahaina, but talk a little bit about the kuleana piece that called you maybe to this responsibility or the privilege that it might be to serve your community. And we'll start with Kaliko. Ian.
Aloha kako. O wau o Kaliko lehua store. No kaupo mai ko ohana. No honua ula mai ko ohana. No kahakuloa mai ko ohana. No hovau ma lea li I Lahaina. Aloha, my name is Kaliko Store. My ohana comes from Naupu Kaupo, Maua Kaupo, Makena Honua Ula, and Kakuloa. I live currently in Lahaina. I was raised in Lahaina. My onehana is not Lahaina. But from the age of 10, I called Lahaina my home. I have 4 children. They've all gone to Nahi'ene'ena, Lahaina Intermediate, and 3 of them have graduated from Lahaina Luna High School. I have a son that is currently at Nahi'ene'ena, and he attends Kulakaiapuni, Lahaina. And I got a call one evening, eating ice cream, minding my own business, talking with my mom and my dad and all of my siblings, and the kahea came out. And the thing I think about going all the way back to those days was the 2 olelo no'eo, awamu ke kuleana, and pipi kawahie ho'onui ka pulupulu. And when I think of awamo, I thought I could just hang this phone up real quick, because there's thousands of people that could perhaps be the voice to the voiceless. And then I think about the other olelo no'eo that says, pipi kawahie ho'onui ka pulupulu. When the fire goes down, you continue to keep adding tinder. We had to add tinder from day one. And so I said, well, okay, Mayor, we'll do this. And so I think about the question that she had asked about obligation. When you awamo kuleana, it's based on your pilina you had prior to the kuleana. And I don't stand here alone and sit here alone. I have all of my kupuna that have raised me right. I have alaka'i that are part of my life that are never in the limelight. And then I have these 4 children that look at me every day and say, Mom, give it one more shot. And then I have a mo'opuna that doesn't yet have a voice. And all the people that have shared yesterday and the days before is all those one more shot to make this right. And so it is an awamo that I carry, and I bring along all the teachings that have been given to me and the spaces that have been created to continue to have conversations at tables that are actually not tables, but lauhala mats that are at these noho. So, oia vale.
Kim?
My name's Kim Ball, and I've been part of the Lahaina community for 43 years. My 3 boys went to King Kamehameha III, Lahaina Intermediate, and Lahaina Luna. And I think I was still in shock. First of all, we lost our family homes, we lost our neighborhood, and we lost our town. I think I was still in shock when Mayor Bisson called me and asked me to be part of this advisory committee. Otherwise, I might have said no. And certainly I would have asked my wife for her blessing, and I hear about that every day. But community service is something I've always been a part of, for over 40 years at my church, Kumalani Chapel, coaching at Lahaina Luna, and anybody that coaches at Lahaina Luna knows that's community service. And, putting on a free keiki surf contest at Laniapoko the last 30 years, being an active board member on Maui Style Wrestling for the last 25 years, and running a MIL Surf League. So I know what it's like to work for no pay, so I was a perfect candidate for this job. So, quick story. I was whining one day in our office about losing all my Lahaina Luna shirts, coaching shirts. I had wrestling shirts from 1980. I was a collector, and so one of our coworkers, Sasha Nakamura, her husband's the Baldwin football coach, Cody. She told him. So one of his new neighbors is Dean Ricard, our Lahaina Luna football coach. He's displaced, so he went up to him and said, "Oh, Coach Kim has no Lahaina Luna shirts." So they brought a sack up to our office yesterday, and I'm proud to show you I have a Lahaina Luna shirt. Very stuffed. And of course, Cody, being kind of a jokester, he threw in a Baldwin shirt, and I told him, "Hey, I'm gonna wear that because since the fire, I have a whole new appreciation for Maui, and I love Baldwin now." So, but anyway, I want to be part of the Sing Lahaina Rise from the Ashes, and I'll do anything I can to help the rebuild. Thank you.
Laurie?
Aloha, my name is Lori Leigh Digama. Born and raised in Lahaina. My family had a store on Front Street called Hapo Store. That's my grandparents. My mom and my uncle ran the store for many years until we closed. Then eventually me and my husband made Noko'oi Deli, and we were there almost 20 years. Very rooted in Lahaina. My daughter goes to Lahaina Luna High School. Me and my husband are alumni. I'm currently the PTSA president. The day of the fire, forever changing for us. We lost our home. Many of our family lost their home. My husband was in the mainland, and me and my daughter had less than 5 minutes to escape the fire. I left behind my uncle that we took care for 20 years. He couldn't walk. He was transported via ambulance or handicap vans. We made it up around the corner, called 911, and we looked behind and we knew the fire was consuming our house. But we made it. I always ask myself, why did the mayor call me? When he did call me, first of all, I'm usually very strong and I'm not so emotional, but lately I have been. It's been 3 months and we just want to go home. And so the mayor called me and I said, "Who gave you my number?" Because I didn't even know the mayor. And so that's the running joke with him. Um, I I ask myself why I'm here, and I always come to the table with things that I can bring because I'm in it. I fight for our community because I know we all want to stay in Lahaina. And if you don't step up and fight for it, we're all gonna have to move. We've daily fight to stay there. So I often fight for the housing situation because our mental health is so hard because we just don't know whether we're gonna have to move. The longer term, as far as we have to go rent and we have to pay our mortgages, again, like this is for how many years? How you need to help us to stay because we want to stay, but if you don't make it possible for us, we're not going to be able to stay. And so I fight for that. I fight for kupuna. I feel really passionate about lately. I'm so sad for them that you live here all your lives and you have to now move to somewhere else where and start all over again. And so I fight for that. I also fight for our kids. Going back to school was a hard decision because of the air quality or the safety of the evacuation route. But then they also mentally wanted stability and normal. And so even going to a sports game, just for the hour or so, coaches have lost everything as well, and kids have lost everything as well, and we push for that just 1 hour to just be normal. I always come to the table sharing my story because if you're not in Lahaina or part of the disaster, we kind of get lost. You know that there's the fire, but you don't know really what's going on how we suffer to try and stay there and to survive this. So I just am, I think, the real. I'm always the one bothering the mayor and harassing him. And I also try to make fun because if you don't have fun, then it's junk. And I'm the unfiltered child at this table. But I do want to leave off with my kumu, Sharon Balidoi. She gave me my Hawaiian name, and sometimes I grumble to her about it. But before it became popular, the Hawaiian name she gave me was kahiao, which is to give with no expectation of return. And I used to say the meaning in the beginning just to say it. But over the years, I've done so much volunteering for like Sacred Heart School, which has been around for 160 years. I've moved up to Lahaina Luna, where I'm PTSA president. I'm on the foundation. My all-time favorite is archives. I love old photos of Lahaina. I love to share it. I constantly take pictures of things that are pre-developed or even after to show the changes. And I just also fight for the safety of Lahaina so we can move back and not have PTSD. I mean, for 5 years, we had a fire 5 years ago, and even back then, there was no water in the fire hydrant. We escaped that when we made it, but I had a county fire truck at my door with the water tank saving my house. The other 3 houses didn't make it by me. So I fight for safety so that once Lahaina is rebuilt, then we can come back and feel safe again and be Lahaina again. Thank you.
Mahalo, Lori. Archie?
Aloha mai kako. Good morning, everyone. You know, when I got the call from the mayor about this advisory board, I gave him names that I thought was way more worthy than I was. And, you know, we had a discussion about these names. And the people that you see here, is very inclusive of the community. It's not one-sided, which is really, really important to the success of the communication from the community to us, to the mayor, but also to the rebuild of our homes, our place, Lahaina. And, I was kind of stuck. My head was down because I was dealing with the hub, and I began to evaluate, you know what, my head is down. I need to start evaluating from 30,000 feet, so to speak, looking down at how we can begin to not just help Le'ali, but help all of Lahaina. So I told him I would accept being a part of this advisory board. But a little bit about me. Some of you probably already heard this already, but my family is 9 generations from Lahaina. And I've seen Lahaina when I was a little child, where Front Street was empty. It was empty because it was a small town. I seen that place where everybody knew everybody. Nagasako store. When you went in there, you saw your whole community. Lahaina Luna School. When I graduated from Lahaina, that was the only school with a Hawaiian alma mater. But the traditions of Lahaina builds so much character as who I have become as a human being, and my love for this place has taught me so much about my place. If you don't live in Lahaina, it's really hard to explain. But if you have family in Lahaina and you come and you spend time with them, you cannot help but fall in love with this place. The responsibility that everybody has on the mayor's advisory sometimes is a double-edged sword, because not only are we the communication piece or the buffer between government, but sometimes it's hard for us to give answers. But I do want you to know that this board meets twice a week, and it takes up a lot of our time. We have discussions about the how, the when, the why. And these are really, really hard discussions. Along this journey to support the mayor has been really, really eye-opening. To support the mayor, but more importantly, to support our community, to advise the mayor. And Laurie always asks us in our meetings, what is our job? What are we doing? And, it's hard to put a finger on it right now. But I want to say this. CNHA, Kohio, I want to thank you, because this last week has allowed us as a community, as this advisory board, to really, really become more solution-based. This conference has allowed us to begin to turn the page on a long, long road that's ahead of us. So I know for me, our role has become a lot clearer in this last week. So I look forward to supporting the mayor, the county, our community, and our state to help Lahaina. Thank you.
So, mahalo nui kako. So let's really get into the meat and potatoes of all of the work and the meetings that you guys have tirelessly committed to. So I know one of the first activities that the committee took was to kind of self-organize around content areas that were in critical need coming out of the fires. So I'm going to ask you to share a little bit about what your content area focus is, you know, what you're alakaing, and to give us an update, a really quick update, 5 minutes, on what's happening in housing and education and in the different areas that you steward. So we'll start with you, Archie.
Yeah. Thank you, Malia. So I steward housing and infrastructure. And so those are, everything is important to this committee. Those are the more pressing ones right now. And it's been a real eye-opener. It's been a real experience to figure out the navigating through our housing issues, the inventory of what kind of housing we have available in Lahaina, some of the midterm housing problems, understanding that is one of them, and recognizing the infrastructure, not only that needs to be repaired, but also what needs to be updated, identifying what that is, and having discussions with our county directors, with FEMA, with people like Jill Takuda, and the importance of understanding what we need to do moving forward. I think from an infrastructure and housing standpoint, those two things are really important, and it's been a real eye-opening learning experience to this point. So that's kind of my kuleana.
Yeah, maybe as a follow-up, can you share how many unsheltered ohana there still are in Lahaina or that are in temporary shelter situations?
So we have, right now in short-term housing, we have just over 2,500 something people that are in short-term housing. The problem is trying to move people into mid-term housing is the availability and the resources that are out there, the inventory, and the struggle we have with trying to get people into that situation. And some of it is, so much of us love Lahaina when they're asked by FEMA, we found you a place, do you want this? They're like, is there a place in Lahaina? And we don't have the inventory. So trying to get the people to understand to move into those places is has been very, very challenging. And we get it, we feel it, we understand it. So those are some of the things and some of the challenges and knowing those numbers. And those numbers change every day. And so what we try to pay attention to your point, is those numbers fluctuate almost every single day. And so we try and make sure that we can find those infrastructures that can put people in places. That's been the hard, difficult thing right now.
Mahalo nui. Laurie?
So mine is health and social services. And to follow after Archie, from day one, I have been fighting for our housing situation. We were able to go into the hotels pretty fast. Normally in the mainland, you would go into a shelter, like say at the Civic Center, and be all together, and FEMA would come in and bring their RVs and build things. But we had luxury of hotel rooms. And so everyone was put into hotel rooms. But in the meantime, our mental health, until this day, is still unstable because we're always worried as to big dates of the 1st or the 30th, the 15th, or if we're going to have to move, or we see people moving, where are they moving? So housing has been a major problem. And like Archie says, we're still trying to figure that out. Also, as far as the kupuna again, that's kind of been one of my goals lately. I've been talking to like Ruth Griffith of Kaunoa and seeing how we can have more get-togethers. My mom is 82, and they're kind of all over the place, and they've, I think, met once, and they're going to meet in December. Another situation has been childcare. We lost all our preschools in Lahaina. And if you want people to go back to work, and the ones that are willing to work, they need to feel safe as to where their children are. And because of the fire, we don't feel safe. Also, as far as, I mean, there's just so much when it comes to, and this is just mental health that we're trying to get through. Lahaina people aren't really in the right mind. At first, we were on survival mode. And then next thing, we're like trying to apply for Red Cross, FEMA, and we're just on the go. And now finally, 3 months out, we're going back to our properties. We finally can go home. But we're going home to go look and sift and look for belongings that made it through the fire. And then in the meantime, we're dealing with our insurance companies. And we have to list everything we've lost. We have to remember everything that we lost in our homes so we can maximize and get our money if we had insurance, so that we can come home to rebuild. I don't know if you've seen the news. Lahaina is one of the underinsured. So we all worry about that. And then again, we try to survive as far as doing, looking for help for our mortgages because of mortgage and rent payments. So all of it is going on in Lahaina. So I try to explain to everyone here, like, when we get a call and you want me to go and apply or fill out one more thing, it's hard for us. You literally need to help us and walk us to it. Red Cross is calling you, you have to check in. And I finally understood Red Cross. Red Cross was basically, at first it was like every 48 hours you needed to check in to keep your place. But really, they were wanting to check on you as well, to see if you were staying in the room, if you were mentally okay. They've laxed that down to every 4 days, so that's helped. But we still, you always hear the chitter chatter. We're now in the days of social media. One person says one thing and it just goes. And so you don't know who to believe. And so again, I come to the committee and I say, we need more communication so we can get rid of the chatter. And so I believe Mayor's working on it. Every Wednesday now we have at the Civic Center a meeting for the community. And I think we just had our second one, so that's getting better. But also on the health end, we finally are having our Zoom meetings and talking, and so we're trying to get out there. I do talk to many other nonprofits and private companies that are out there, so it's getting there, but we also need to move faster. I come to the meeting and I'm like, let's work on this. Okay, now hurry up, we have to go and work on this one. So I'm always forever changing and pivoting and going with everything. But again, I choose to be in it. I told my husband, I said, we could probably go and find something on Central Maui and rent, or just like how he said, if it's offered, take it. But my family in particular, we choose to stay in it so that I can fight for the people and know what they're going through and bring it to people like the mayor so that he knows what's going on.
Mahalo. Kim?
Me?
Yeah.
My category, I guess, is economic recovery. And I just want to give a shout out to my coworkers on the morning after the fire, at 6 a.m., they started on social media reaching out for food and water and clothing and blankets. And that first morning, first day, they had over 20 truckloads of food, water, clothing, bedding delivered to our Kahului location, and went out to the War Memorial and some of the churches. And that was even before they knew that, we had lost our house, because, as you guys know, that the communication was non-existent with Lahaina. So, and that's just an example of our business, but many on Maui stepped up that still had businesses to help out. And I think we have given out over 10,000 pieces of clothing and new clothing and slippers since the fire, and connected people with surfboards and stand-up boards. And we're continuing to do that. I have people in it every day. And if you know anybody that has been displaced, we have some nice slippers at the store for free. But I'm sure you know the numbers on what Department of Business and Economic Development and Tourism has come out with for the third quarter. 800 businesses were impacted with 7,000 employees. That was daily revenue of $2.7 million from those businesses. The total loss from businesses on Maui is pegged at $11 million a day. The number of unemployment requests before the fire in a week was 130. The week after the fire was 865. The second week it was 4,400. Third week it was 2,700. So even with my limited math skills, that's over 8,000 jobs that were lost. So I've communicated with Luana Mahi. She's the head of economic development for the county of Maui, and she's trying to do her part. I think she has an idea to do a Lahaina marketplace near Kapalua Airport. It'd be temporary, but for businesses that did burn in the fire, with retail vendors, food trucks, maybe an entertainment component and a cultural component too. But it's hard, even though our West Maui economy, and all of Maui, but I'm talking about West Maui, we depend on the tourism dollars. But we hesitate to invite tourists to West Maui until our housing situation is more stable, until we can get people out of the hotels, Glory, Kaliko, into more midterm or even permanent housing. So that's the economic report.
Mahalo nui.
Kalamayan, the first question, I was trying to be very obedient and answer the question for the question. But us local people, Hawaiians, we can talk. We're born to talk. And we have a gift. That's a gift. So when I think about what my kuleana is now as part of the Office of Recovery, I cannot help but go back to where I was the day this happened. And so I do, too, want to give big aloha nui to, we actually all have real jobs. And I have kuleana. And so I've been a part of Hyatt Resorts Maui for the last 26 years. And my kuleana is to be a cultural conduit for all Hyatts on island. And so that day, I was in Hana, and I got the call. Well, I got a text message because my son is part of True X. He works for that excavation company that continues to be on the ground there. And as a mom, you want to respond real quick. And part of my other kuleana that I do is I work for Pu'ukukui Watershed Preserve. And the only thing I could think about that day was, I better call my boss, Pomaika e Kaniaupio Crozier, and see what the detail is. And his instruction to me was, stay right where you are. And that's one thing you don't want to hear as a parent, to stay right where you are. He said, you're one less person we have to worry about. And he said, you've got the best reception, so stay there and wait for the next detail. And I could only visualize what our crew was doing. And when you work in the field of conservation, you're going to do whatever needs to be done to take care of your aina. But this day, this entire crew had to pivot to take care of the poe of Lahaina. And it went down just like that. We got out of the field and we went into the mode of taking care of people. And they told me, don't worry about your family. We got them. And when you train with people that there's no cameras, you in the bugaleles, and you're training on ropes, what they said to me, I took to heart. And there was a lot of peace that they wouldn't leave my family alone. So when I did get the call, when I finally got home and I listened to my boss very carefully, I got home and we went into 100% soldier mode. Not knowing that it would lead to something like this. I had to really aloha my mom and my dad. My dad, Cornelio Bangkako, retired fire captain. And my mom, Makalapua Kanuha Bangkako. Mahalo. We too are a nonprofit family, just keeps on giving. The word is not volunteer, it's voluntoed in this family. You got 2 legs, you got a license, get going. And we'll tap you on the shoulder when you can be tapped out. And so when these buckets were introduced, I said, oh man, deep down inside, I said, I hope nobody picked this bucket. Because this is the life I live. And it's the bucket number 6 in the recovery, cultural and natural resources. And all I could think about was, if you went to UH Hilo, when they teach you Olelo Hawaii, you learn by the Po'opiko Ave. And that's all I could think about. The mayor didn't give us instruction in how to run this thing. All he told us was, you guys can just be like my coconut wireless. I said, oh, that's easy. I just tell you what they tell me, and I tell you, and you go fix it. Ole loa. He said, we're going Kahoa Lave, but you got to build the boat where we go. Hello. And really, transparently, that's how it's been. So when we had gotten together here with the Office of Recovery, so mahalo to Josiah and all of our team. And, you think about all the people that just dropped out from heaven to help you do whatever needed to be done. And so I mahalo, I love God and I love people, and I had to think about it in that most simplest way. How do you love God and how do you love people? You do whatever it takes. And what does that mean? You only have 2 hands, but you've got a relationship. And all the people that you have relationship, call on them. And I just knew that there wasn't 25 hours in a day, it was only 24. So I go get with the people. I go get with my mountain people, who are pretty well cleaned up today, this morning. Yeah, they look very good today. And then I go get with the people that have been part of my life for the last 26 years. And because you do kind to them and you aloha them, when it comes down to it, they're going to turn around and they say, whatever you need, we got. And they showed up with the president and his lunch. Uncle Archie volunteered me for that. Thank you. He said, go call her. She stayed behind. She can help you with the prayer. It led to doing the agenda. What? And mahalo to the county, the chief of staff came. He says, so here you go. Here's all the Secret Service guys. Here's all the people. Here's the admin for the White House. They're like one luau. And then, by the way, you and your mom, you guys can call 400 people. What? And this lunch is going to be in when? Less than 24 hours. Oh, you guys is. But awamo ke kuleana, you take and you do it with the most purest heart. And that's what we had to do, and we had to start from the kupuna. So now we're going around the island for a real good reason, because Lori went down. She told her whole moku auhau. I said, I'm going to do them too then. And so we get to this bucket. Cultural and natural resources. So I think about all of our ohana. Uncle Keamoku and his team, kumuhoku, mahalo kumuhoku. Because then us guys couldn't stand up. She just said, no worry. I go get them. And I have plenty aloha for my kumu, who I haven't seen in a long time. And I knew he was in the mix. Kumu kapono ai mulitau. He just texted. He said, whatever you need. We didn't physically see them, but they all make up this bucket. And they go into the places that we cannot physically go. And so they come down to natural resources. And I think, oh, wow, that's all my uncles, my aunties, my cousins. Well, let's go call them. So, natural resources consist of water, air, your aina. And so my kuleana was, I said, well, I got to go call my cousin Kaipo. So I called Kaipo and I said, hey, we got to do this thing called natural resources. He goes, Kaliko, we already do them. I said, okay. And what that means is, mahalo to Koa Heva Heva, our other cousin, who is part of the county. And he took on the kuleana of helping us in our natural resources bucket, Kai'ea Maderis. And these are our own people. But in the early days, the only guy you probably never question is Zeke Kalua. Because he's about, he walks in, he demands he demands attention. Right? Zeke, I see you over there. I love you. Love you. And you think now, because in the early days, very transparently, we check each other. We did check each other. You come up the ramp, even though you're from Lahaina, I'm going to check you. Who you with, what you doing. And that was so kaumaha. It was sad. But at that time, we didn't have that type of, we didn't quite know just yet. And so now that we do, our ohana is our ohana. And when I took on the natural resources, what that meant, think about it like a land division. Think about it. What is from Mauka will come Makai. So with Kaipo, with our cousin Kaipo, who I grew up with, I said, what are we going to do? He said, we got to talk about socks. Not the socks you get on your feet. These socks that will need to be inoculated. I said, how do you even spell that word? He said, Kaliko, we need this thing called mycelium. I said, what is that? So the update is that we took this long to find real people in real offices that have a real great insight to malama aina, to malama kai, and malama vai. And we had to go find them. We had to go knock on doors. We had to tell the mayor, if you don't hurry up, we're going to run you over too, because we got to get going. But in the process, it requires us to tap into our kupuna. And our kupuna say, no make maha oi, knock on the door first. Right? I learned that. My uncle told me, my uncle Amos, I love that man. He said, you make maha oi. You stick your head inside the door and you look around. He said, but first you got to knock on the door. You got to say please. And you got to say thank you. And that got me in my gut, because when you're from Lahaina, you just want to man woman up and you just want to ku'e everybody. Because we were in the state of an emergency. And transparently, the only man that we really could see clearly was Anakala Archie. Hence the reason why he was all in this week. And in doing so, he mobilized all of us. And so the update for me is that we've done a recon. We finally met our federal representatives that have showed us that there is money out there to ensure that we have as many best management practices, or what they call BMPs. I'm totally going to school. I'm like, BMPs, what does that mean, right? And all these different practices. And also in there, I have had great relationships prior to all of this with Dwayne Sparkman, with Tova Calendar. And all of these people help us to make sure that we hold all the people accountable for taking care of our ohana lindsay down Puamana, taking care of all of the ohana on the shoreline, to say, what are we doing to take away this toxic material, the toxic ash, and doing it before the rain comes. Because the rain don't wait for nobody. And while we all milly all over any kind, having 2 coffees too much, the rain is coming. And so that has been our press for these last weeks, is find the real people with the real agendas and inserting ourselves to say, we cannot keep blaming the county. You know, they drop socks around these drains. They don't know anything about science. So why we hold them accountable? Because you're guilty by association. Yeah, transparent. Until we sit and we ask. And so the update is, we finally found the real people that can help us do some real things and continue to save Mauka to Makai. I know this is long, but I'm going to put this next one. The other focus that I have is Kulakayapuni. They're our shot. They're our successors. And they will live this legacy out. Our 76ers on the Va'a started to create a resurgence in us. Hence the reason why we're here today. And we have all these different initiatives that go straight to the White House, who some of us had an opportunity to speak with. And so our kids, my son right now, sits on a beach. Because at the top, we're still trying to figure these things out. And all that partners with the Department of Health, it partners with the Department of Education to give our children the best shot in being educated in the best environment possible to them. Not the things that are easy, because the easy part is this town is flat. The only way is up. And so the update for our education piece, which I absolutely stand in the gap for, is there's money raining all over this place. And the people that will need it the most is our children that will continue to carry our voice. They need us. They need us. They need all the creative ideas for us to continue to move forward. Oye, vale.
Mahalo. So my next 2 questions are kind of a rapid fire, so we'll just popcorn quickly across the panel. But we meet people every day that want to help in Kokua. They feel inspired, but maybe don't know how best that they can be of service. What are some concrete examples or ways that the audience can individually or collectively kokua all of the work that you guys are doing?
I'll answer this real quick. Individually, pray for us as we pray for you. We're not in this position anymore. We're in this position to hold your hand, to bring you in, to kokua.
From the economic recovery perspective, you can support the West Maui businesses that are still open and support the businesses that will reopen and support the businesses that maybe had to relocate. Now might be the time to get a air conditioning guy to work on your air conditioning, or electrician or plumber, because they lost a lot of inventory. And I know many of them are looking for work. So that's how, practical way you can help out our West Maui community. Thanks.
Malo, is there a listing somewhere of West Maui businesses? Is there a listing somewhere of West Maui businesses?
I'm guessing there probably is with the economic development or the Chamber of Commerce, but yeah.
Maybe Kuhio and CNHA can help us with that.
That'd be great.
For me personally, if you have family or friends from Lahaina who are affected by the fires, helping them directly is the best way to know that you are helping them. Financially, we're all struggling to survive. If you don't have anyone, then I would recommend donating to Maui Strong because it goes to everyone and the county. Again, like Kaliko, just prayers are free and pray for us. And if you know of people who have houses that might be able to open up to one of our families, that's what we're really looking for in the long term is some housing just to stay here and ride this out until Lahaina can be rebuilt. I think there's a poll or something out there that the mayor had said, like a lot of homes here, other than the short terms and the second houses, they're occupied by 2 people. So if those people could open up to us, then we would be able to get stability and be a stronger community and come back strong. That's it.
I think the biggest piece for us, our people in Lahaina, is we have a lot of different cultures. So on a communication basis, we're not able to get all of the information out. We need to get traction with people coming to the meetings, coming to the weekly, every Wednesday, the EOC gives a briefing and provides updated information. And we've honestly seen, since that started, we've seen people begin to get the help they need because they find when they come there, they get more accurate information, better guidance. And so for me, I'd like to see everyone attend those meetings because that's where all the hard questions and answers, you can get that information. It is then that we can begin to look forward. And that's been a big plus. Like I give you an example, is signing off on the ROEs. There's so much, the information's not getting out because we have kupunas that don't know how to go on to a website and get that information. We have people with, speak different dialect. And so we got to get people to sign those ROEs because when everybody signs off on that, we can get to the next phase. And one person really made a difference. Jeremy. What's Jeremy's last name?
Delas Reyes.
Jeremy Delas Reyes. He came to one of our community retreats. What he learned in that one meeting, he felt like he was finally getting honest answers. He went out and put that out there. Sign your ROEs so that all of us can begin to move to the next phase. Those are the kinds of things that allows our community to move in the direction that we all need to move. We all need to be moving towards. And those are the little things that has big impacts. And so for me, that's what I see the value of this group is having that one little opportunity to educate one person that has great impact in the community. And we got to continue to do that so that we can keep moving.
Mahalo nui. And I think in listening to the panel today, we can each feel the humanity and the aloha that each of these members have and are giving to their community. So just in closing today, just 30 seconds, what are your aspirations for Lahaina? And we'll start with Laurie.
My aspirations for Lahaina. First of all, I want to just tell you guys, the mayor said in the beginning, no public events, no coming out here. Pure government, I tell you. I've done like 2 MC, I'm out here now, I don't know. But all I want to leave you with is basically these words I live by, and it's from Auntie Primrose Keahi, that I love you all the world, and I always say it, I love you all the world, Lahaina, and we're gonna come back, and I'm here to fight for you.
Mahalo. Kim?
I guess my wish would be that we could rebuild Lahaina as quickly as humanly possible. I know we've heard the stories of the slow rebuilds and other disaster areas, but I feel Lahaina has a special mana, and I think altogether we can rebuild Lahaina the way we want, even a better Lahaina. That's what I'd like to see.
Kaliko?
What I would like to, and I've said this from the very beginning, from day one when we had partnered with the mayor, is my aspiration is that we would continue to stay unified as a town. We would continue to give each other grace and not have to second guess who's coming in the door. And so I guess my closing would be extend grace, a lot of it, and ask questions before we make statements, and understand that Lahaina is a big town, but yet a small town, and every part doing its share will cause a beautiful rebuild and a regrowth.
My aspiration is rebuild our churches. Seven churches burnt down in Lahaina, and the other churches suffered damage. And I think that is the soul of our community. I'd also like to make sure that we rebuild Lahaina with Hawaiian values. Moku'ula. We can build our economy, our industry around our community. And our community has a lot of history. There's a lot of Hawaiian history. And I want to make sure that that is at the forefront as we move forward. And I'll tell you why, because this was like 30 years ago. Actually, it's like 36 years ago. We were trying to get the junior lifeguard program off the ground in Lahaina. It was the first in the state, actually. And it was in the paper, and we had, they were going to talk about all the historical sites in Lahaina. At the time, Moku'ula was unheard of. It wasn't known. It was only the old Hawaiian families knew about it. It was about the Baldwin House and, you know, all these other places. And my grandfather, Dallas Kaukaha Kalepa, came and he was scolding me. You need to tell them about the real history of Lahaina. I did not grow up knowing that. I did not understand what he was telling me until he had passed away 25 years later. Today, I understand what he was saying. And how important that is even more resilient than ever before because what happened to us. We have one chance, people. We have one chance to get this right. We have to get this right for this place that we love and call our home, Lahaina. Thank you.
Mahalo nui. Thank you, each of you, for your aloha and your commitment. The world is watching. Hawaii is watching as you rebuild your piko. We're here. We're standing with you. We're praying for you. Mahalo nui.
A large round of applause for our amazing panel, Uncle Archie, Lori, Kim, Kaliko, and our host, Malia Ka'ehue.